Okay, good morning, guys. Today I'm going to start chapter 6, which is about normal distribution. This normal distribution based on continuous random variable. Okay, up to this moment, up to last day, we discussed whatever Bernoulli binomial based on discrete random variables. But starting from here, we are going to talk about continuous random variables. Okay, so normal distribution. Okay, this is the introduction part. This is the place we are going to introduce normal distribution or normal distributed variable. Okay. So you already learned how to draw a density curve, or let's say how to draw relative frequency histogram, right? So using relative frequency histogram, you just draw a curve, right? Using those histograms, you draw a curve. That kind of curve, I told you, it is a smooth curve. Okay, a smooth curve means it's a continuous values. It has continuous values on the curve. So this kind of curve we call density curve. It doesn't matter about the shape. It can be like this, can be a circle, whatever. This kind of curve we call density curve. Okay, because it once we first plot the relative frequency histogram, then draw this curve, finally remove the frequency histogram, then you have this curve, right? So this kind of curve we call density curve because it represents the density of a particular distribution. Okay, so it is a smooth curve, shape of the distribution with smooth curve. Okay, we call this density curve, and this density curve is a graph that shows the probability. That curves, let me draw it like this. If this is your relative frequency histogram, when I draw it like this, that curve represents the probability, or we call it probability curve. Theoretically, this curve represents the distribution of a continuous variable. Okay, because on the let me get this separate. So on this curve, you can see any value, you can find the corresponding, for example, corresponding x value and y value, right? For any point. So because of that, we call normally we draw these density curves for continuous variables, because continuous variable, it has many values. Okay, we cannot bound it. So normally we draw these density curves for continuous variables, but yes, you already know we draw these density curves for discrete values as well. So it doesn't matter, okay, because it represents the distribution. Okay, represent the shape of the distribution. In the discrete case, although we draw it, it is like a approximation for discrete case. For the continuous case, yes, as it is a shape of the distribution. But for the discrete case, it's just an approximation. Okay, but still you don't have to worry about that. You can draw it. Okay. Okay, properties. See, these two properties you have to remember. Okay, because we need these. Based on these two, we define or we introduce so many things. Okay, these two. Density curve is a density curve always on or above horizontal axis. Okay, see this one. I draw this density curve on this axis. It's like this. If you draw a density curve, let's say this is my axis and your density curve, doesn't matter about the shape, it should be like this. On or above this axis. In general, you can call this like x-axis, that's fine. on or above this axis. You cannot draw it like this. This is wrong. Okay, it never goes down this axis, or let's say x-axis, this horizontal axis. Okay, always on or above. Here, theoretically, this ends. Let me draw this again. These ends, they are like this, or this horizontal axis. Okay, so these ends like this, they never touch that axis. Okay, those ends. The reason is these are continuous values. This can be go up to like starting from negative infinity to positive infinity. So this side represents negative infinity, and this side represents positive infinity. That's why they never touch each other. These points, their ends. You don't need to draw it like up to infinity, but just keep it like this. It doesn't matter. Although it is theoretically, practically you can simply draw it without considering whether they touch each other or not. Okay, but theoretically, yes, they never touch each other. They touch each other at infinity. Okay, so that's the idea. Anyway, curve is always on or above the horizontal axis. The second one is total area under this curve is 1. So total area under this curve. Under this curve means this area above this horizontal axis, but under this curve. This area equals to what? 1. We are talking about area, not probabilities, area, right? Area. Okay, so you know what is this okay, do you know area? What's the meaning of area, right? I mean, for different shapes, you know how to calculate the area, right? For example, for cylinder, do you know how to? Okay, do you know what is about the area? Okay, so same here, consider it as a shape. So this area, once you calculate, you will see is the area equals to 1. Okay, you can calculate this area using integrals. I don't know you have done it or not, but using integrals, you can calculate from negative infinity to positive infinity. You can get 1. Okay, so those two, property 1 and property 2, density curve always on or above horizontal axis, and the total area under the area, total area under the curve is 1. Okay, it's a big deal. I mean, especially this one, it's a big deal. So please remember this one. Okay, later I'll show you what is the relationship between this area and our probability. Okay, see, total, it doesn't matter about the shape. Okay, any shape, skewed, symmetric, or whatever, area under this curve is 1. Area. Okay, okay, variables and their density curves. So always density curve means that kind of curve. In your case, it's like this. It has a one peak unimodal, so that kind of curves. Okay, okay, this is something about percentage. So if we consider a particular range, let's say, let me okay, I'll use this one, and I'm considering this area, okay, from this area from here and here. I mean, I'm simply just cut this area and take it out. Okay, so this area we can represent as a percentage, right? Percentage, like let's say 2%, something like that. Okay, so this is what they have mentioned. Observations of the variable that lie within any specific range equal to or approximate to a percentage. We can find the corresponding percentage for that particular area. Okay, so okay, let me explain it using this one. So you can see here, first one, to the left of C. C is here. I mean, this point. C is this point. So area to the left of C, which means starting from where? Starting from your left hand side, which means this side. What is the? I mean, for this side, what is the minimum? It is negative infinity. You don't have to worry about that, but it starts from there, okay, and come up to C. This C is a value, okay, this point. So once we collect, I mean, once we add the sum, or once we get the area starting from negative infinity to this point, we call this area, or you can represent this as a percentage, like 25%, something like that. So we normally we call it area to the left of that point. Okay, so we can express it as a percentage. Same happen here. Area to the right of this point. Here it is D. So to the right mean starting from that place to right hand side. Right. To the left of C, we mean this side. Okay. To the left, to the right. Okay. Okay. Next one is in between or between. Between means definitely between two values. Okay. So once you actually you have to calculate this kind of areas. Okay. But we have a technique to calculate. You don't need to do like integrals or whatever. Just we can use our own techniques. Anyway, this is how we find the areas under particular region, or let's say particular interval, or up to some point, or after some point. Okay, under this curve. Okay, so simply as I mentioned, you can find this like a percentage, like 50%. So since we can find this like a percentage, you know what's the relationship between percentage and probability, right? So same here. Okay, from here I'll explain what's the relationship between probability and area. So area, okay, area equals to the probability. Area under the curve, under this curve, equals to probability. Okay, you know this area, the maximum, I mean, the total area under this curve is 1. So in our case, probability equals to maximum probability is 1. So area you can map to probability without doing any calculation. Okay, area under the curve is it's exactly same to our probability. Okay, so if I say without using percentage, let's say this area, when I calculate it, it is this much, 4.5 area, not percentage, just area, 0.45, which means this equals the what? Probability. This equals probability. Okay, area is a value between 0 and 1, including 1 and 0. Okay, okay, check these three examples. Under the curve, area under the curve under the density curve, or you can simply say curve. That's fine. Okay, curve that lies between 3 and 4 is this much. This is the area. This is area. Okay, area value. What is this means? Here, sorry about the axis. Anyway, this is your horizontal axis. On your horizontal axis, you have your density curve. So we have values on this axis. You don't have to draw this arrow, but I'm drawing it here. Here you have your number 3 and 4. 4, let's say somewhere here. So they are talking about this area between 3 and 4. It doesn't matter whether 3 include or not, because these are continuous. Okay, these are continuous values. So if you remember cut point grouping, okay, we start from, let's say, 0, 10. Next group we start from 10, 10, 20, 20, 30, something like that. So these continuous variables or continuous values, it doesn't matter equal sign or strict sign, that's fine. Okay, so this area is this much, 0.387. Okay, so what they ask, what percentage? So they need to find the percentage. So simply what you have to do, your area or probability. You can use either words, that's fine. Multiply by 100 gives you the corresponding percentage. Okay, area, this part, right? Next one, area under the density curve to the right of 2. To the right of 2 mean what? This is my curve, this one. Let's say 2 is somewhere here. So to the right, which means this part, right? To the right is this much, 0.762. Okay, so again they need to find the percentage. Simply this value, area or probability, multiplied by 100, you can get the percentage. Clear? What about next one? Third one, percentage of all possible observations, that's fine. Variable at most 2, which means this one. I can draw the picture for you, this curve. Just, don't worry about the curve, okay? It can be anywhere, any curve. Let me draw 2 here. So my imaginary axis about 2 is this one, okay? So what they need, percentage, it's another case. Possible observation of variable at most, which means this part. Right? Up to 2. From left side to 2. So how do we find that? From part 2, you already found the area exceed 2, greater than 2. So you know the total area under the curve is 1. So 1 minus second part, I mean exceed 2, that area gives you what you need. Okay, that's kind of a negation part. Okay, 1 minus what you don't need, then you can find the what you need. Okay, and then multiply by 100, you can get the percentage. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's do this one. Normal distribution, normal distributed variables. Okay. It is easy. Variable is normal distributed if that distribution has the shape of normal curve. If it has this kind of shape, if let's say my variable is capital X, it has this kind of density curve or this kind of curve, then we call that that is a normally distributed variable or normal distribution. Normally distributed variable or normal distribution, we use either. We use both terms to define this normal distribution. Okay, so this variable capital X has a normal distribution if that distribution is like this bell shaped one. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it is a skewed one, doesn't matter. If it has a bell shape like 1p, we call it normal distribution. Okay, okay, check this one. You can see these are cut point groupings. Okay, see 56, 57, then it's starting from again 57. So these are cut point grouping we use for continuous values. Okay, so this is just a relative frequency table. So you can see these relative frequencies. You know this relative frequency is equals to probability. That's another case. So approximately, I think no, it's the exact value, but you know when we are dealing with continuous values, sometimes we may have a very small gap between one and the sum. Doesn't matter. In this case, you get one. Okay, based on this, they have drawn this histogram, first histogram. They draw this curve based on the histogram. Okay, this curve you can see it is a bell shape. Doesn't matter symmetric or skewed. It has a bell shape. Okay, one peak bell shape. So we can say this. I don't know the variable. Doesn't matter the variable. In this case, we have a normal distribution. Just forget about the histogram. Okay, once we remove the histogram, you have this curve only, blue color curve. So we call this normal distribution. And normal, this is a normal curve. Once you find the mean and standard deviation, you can mention it like this: mu mean, sigma mean, standard deviation. You can simply find them using this. Okay, so whenever we mention, okay, let's say my variable is x has a normal distribution, you have to mention what is the mean, what is the standard deviation. Okay, I think next slide you will see that. Oh no, not next one. Okay, at that point I'll explain you how to write it. Okay, okay. This is already I explained you normally distributed or normal distributed variable. If variable has a normal distribution, then we call it normally normal distributed variable, right? So we can express this area under the curve as a percentage, or simply we can approximate it to a normal distribution. There are two cases. Okay, sometimes we can easily find this normal distribution. We can simply find the normal distribution, but some cases we have to approximate it to a normal distribution because we cannot exactly find this exact curve, so that we simply approximate. Okay, there are two cases: exactly we have normal distribution, or sometimes we have to approximate. You have to deal with those two cases, so we will discuss it later. Approximately normal distributed, those two cases are possible. Okay, that's fine. We can talk about that using this normal distribution. As I mentioned, it has a mean and standard deviation. Always, I told you last time, distribution, any distribution mean we denote by mu, distribution standard deviation we denote by sigma, same as population mean and population standard deviation, because they are equal. Okay, second one, check this one. Two normal distributed variables, x and y, let's say x and y, they have normal distributions. If they have same mean and standard deviation, then they should equal, they should same. Okay, if two or more, it doesn't matter. if they have same mean and standard deviation, those curves should be same. I mean, they are equal. Okay. This is something important because symmetricity of a particular curve, symmetric behavior depends on standard deviation and mean. I think that's they have mentioned. Yes, and its spread depends on the standard deviation of the variable, and the center depends on mean. This mean, I mean mean mu, we call location parameter. Okay, another word for mu in this case. Okay, a normal distribution. Mean we call location parameter, and standard deviation we call shape parameter. Because a mean, okay, let's say this is the curve. This is your curve. Okay, this one. This is your curve on this axis. So your mean is this one. Once I change the mean, this mean drag your curve either left side or right hand side. That's why we call it's a location parameter. It changes the location. Okay, so like it's like this. Same thing, but it drags like something like this. Okay, and the very standard deviation we call the shape parameter because due to the, I mean, when we change the standard deviation, it changes shape like this. Let me erase this. This is, let's say, for standard deviation sigma 1, and sigma 2 it's like this. For sigma 3 it can be like this. See, it doesn't matter about the location, it's about the shape. So sigma or standard deviation change the shape of the distribution. Okay, wider bell shape, thin bell shape, something like that. But mu, it drags your distribution to left or right. Okay. Yes, the variable of population is normal distributed. We say population is normal distributed. A variable in the population is normally distributed, then we can say that population is normally distributed. Next one, check this approximation case. Variable of in this distribution shape roughly normal. I mean roughly normal curve. Then we say it is that population or that variable is approximately normal distributed. It's not perfect normal distributed, but approximately normal distributed. Okay. So based on these two cases, you have to deal with two different ways. Okay. This is, oh sorry. Yes. So at the end of this slide, you can see what is the normal distribution. This is the formula for normal distribution. Like we discussed in binomial distribution, it's like this formula. Okay, so I don't know whether you can remember this or not, but this is the formula, and this is the way how we denote or how we write normal distribution in shorthand way. This is like, this is your variable. What is your variable? X. In here this case x. So x, this is how you read this. X has a normal distribution, okay, with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. This is how you read this. Okay, x has a, this mean has, I mean it has, x has a normal distribution. Capital N mean it denotes the normal distribution. X has a normal distribution with what? Mean mu. Always this first guy, first parameter belongs to mean. That's why it's mu. Mean mu and standard deviation sigma. Okay, don't swap these two. Always first mean, second standard deviation. Right? So this is how we write this. But the formula is this one, but you can write it like this. If you already know what is the mean and standard deviation, simply you can write it like this. Has a normal distribution with mean, let's say 2, standard deviation is 3.5, something like this. So you should know, if I write like this, you should know this is your mean and this is your standard deviation. Okay, actually you need this. If you have this, that's enough to solve the problem. You don't need this below formula. Okay, but how we find this distribution or this probabilities? Using this formula. 1 over square root 25 sigma 25 sigma squared e to the power, or this part is e to the power negative x minus mu squared divided by 2 sigma squared. Okay, it's like giant expression. You can rewrite it like this, like one line 1 over 2 pi sigma squared square root. Instead of e, you can simply write it exp. Okay, exponentials negative x minus mu squared divided by 2 sigma squared. Like same thing. Okay, they are same. Clear? Most of the time you don't need this. If you know this one, then it's fine. Okay, properties of normal distribution. It is a bell shape. Definitely it has a bell shape. Either I mean, doesn't matter, bell shape, perfect bell shape, or skewed bell shape. That's fine. Centered at mu. So if I draw this curve, it's centered centered at mu. About mu. Centered about mu. Okay. Bell shape centered about mu, and range, simply we can close, I mean bounded like this. Do you remember 1 sigma, 2 sigma, 3 sigma when we were talking about empirical rule? You remember? So 1 sigma it can cover 66%, something like that, right? 2 sigma, I think 95%. 3 sigma 99.7. Yes, something like that. Okay, that's, they have mentioned this one. 3 sigma, which mean here it is x bar, oh sorry, mu minus 3 sigma, here mu plus 3 sigma. So you can cover almost all, simply 99.7. Okay, rest of them like 0.3 is outside this 3 sigma. Okay, this is what they have mentioned. Okay. We can solve some problems, but yes, we will do it later. This case, standard normal distribution. You already seen this one before. Okay, I already explained this one, not this shape. I mean, this process, don't worry, you have seen it before. Okay, let me show you next slide. Standard normal case means standard normal curve, the difference is, let's say this is my x, it has a normal distribution, okay, with mean 0 and standard deviation, sorry, standard deviation 1, normal 0 1. This we call, this specific or special case of normal distribution we call standard normal distribution or standard normal curve. Okay, it's a still normal distribution, but the difference is it has mean 1, definitely 1. Okay, there is no other, there are no any other values, 1, and standard deviation, mean is 0, standard deviation is 1, which means simply you can see your standard normal curve or standard normal distribution. See, this is your mean, mu, and standard deviation is 1. It has a perfect bell shape, symmetric perfect bell shape. It is symmetric about this mu equals 0 axis. Okay, symmetric about mu equals 0 axis. Okay, this standard normal distribution, okay, it is a symmetric bell-shaped distribution. Normal distribution, it can be symmetric, skewed, whatever, but this one definitely perfect bell shape, symmetric about mu equals 0. Okay, so this is about standard normal distribution. That's the difference between standard normal distribution and normal distribution. But we write it the same way. X has a normal distribution 0, 1. Or if you see this variable has a normal distribution with mean 0 and standard deviation 1, you can simply say, okay, X has a standard normal distribution. That's totally fine. Okay. How you do this? Using this. So this guy, yes, definitely you know this one, right? We did some examples using this. At that point, I told you what is the importance of this standardization. Do you remember standardization, that part? We need that part here. That's the practical use of our standardized case. So any normal distribution, you can convert to a standard normal distribution using this simple formula. So any normal distribution, this is my short form of to write the distribution, okay, like this. You can convert or transform, let's say convert or transform, whatever, using this simple formula to this one. Normal 0, 1. Okay, you can convert or transform whatever to this form. Perfect bell shape, or simply we call standard normal distribution. Any normal distribution you can convert to a standard normal distribution using this formula. Okay. Do you remember in standard normal case, when we standardize, we denote those values using C. Okay, so same here, we use that C to mention the standard normal values. This process is not just one single process. Okay, each value on this horizontal axis, you have to transform through this formula, and you can get the values, corresponding values here. Okay, each value at a time, one value. Okay, at a time, one value, you have to do it. Okay, so again, if you remember, I told you when we were talking about this standardization doesn't change the distribution. It doesn't change, I mean, anything, right? I told you, yes, exactly, it doesn't change anything. Yes, but yes, it's change the shape, but believe me, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the area under the curve. It doesn't change the probability under the curve. So everything remains same within in a one small scale, 0, 1. Okay, clear? See, any curve, doesn't matter, any normal curve, you can simply map to this you can simply map I don't know this curve, but you can simply map to this standard normal distribution. This is your standard normal distribution. 0, 1. 0, 1 means standard normal distribution. Any distribution. See, I told you, just consider mu. This case, mu is negative to this one, center. Red color one, mu is 3. You can see center, it's just shift to your right hand side. mu x1 mu equal 9. Again, it shift to that right hand side. So mu is a location parameter. It shift your distribution to either right hand side or left hand side. And the same time, sigma, it changes the shape of the distribution. See, once we reduce the sigma, shape become very thin, more and more thinner. As we increase the sigma, distribution like it's like distributed. Okay, peak comes down. Okay, right? Okay, it doesn't matter whatever what is the distribution, what's the normal distribution, shape doesn't matter. Simply you can map to whatever into this standard normal distribution. Okay, why we need to convert? You will see after a few slides, but I'll tell you, it is really hard to deal with these kind of shapes because they have different properties. The reason is they have different standard deviation, let's say spreadness, whatever. They have different things, but if we need to deal with them, we need to identify their distribution first, and we have to use mathematical concepts like integration, something like that, to deal with them. To avoid that or simplify the process, we simply convert it to a standard normal distribution, and then we can use our common properties. We can apply our common properties belongs to this guy and solve the problem. Okay. There are two ways. Actually it depends on the problem. See, this is a normal curve with mean mu and standard deviation sigma. We map this one using this formula to standard normal curve. Definitely standard normal curve, mean 0 and standard deviation 1. See, this area under this curve equals to the area under this curve. It doesn't change the probability or area under the curve. Okay, because we change these both values, this one and this one, and also mu as well. That's why we can keep the same area under these curves. Clear? Any questions? So if we know what is the normal distribution, then easily we can solve it. But sometimes it's hard to find the mean and variance, mean and standard deviation of a particular normal distribution. Okay. Anyway, if we find, although we can find the mean and standard deviation, sometimes, I mean, most of the time, it is really hard to deal with that kind of distribution. So that we use that particular mean and standard deviation to standardize or to get the standard version of this normal distribution. We already have a set of like probabilities, known probabilities for this guy, standard normal distribution. We already have that kind of table, so that we can use that table to find our values. Okay, so we don't need to do many calculations. Easily using using that table, we can find our answer within like 1-2 lines. Okay. Have you seen that table before? I think I have already uploaded it to the Blackboard. C table, I think, yeah, C table, that's the name of that. Okay, in the chapter 6, please check. Under additional resource, I'm not sure, but it's there. It called it C table. Okay, because it has C values. It has C values, probabilities, standard values. Okay, standard values. Once we standardize this one along this process, you will get that values. Okay, those are probability values. Same here, under the area under the curve is 1. It doesn't change. Okay, area under this curve is also 1.